I taped off the joint up to here just to make sure, remind myself not to fill it up because that's getting cut open. I got the hinges over here and there. That's all going to get sanded. Oh, and then this here I marked with an arrow because when I go to put the block into the inside of the door, I'm going to have Teresa drill through. Then I'm going to drill them both a little bigger, like the 1/8 inch. And then I'm going to put a wood screw in there with a little chunk of wood right here, like the one I used on the base when I put the hinge on. And that's gonna hold the top end of that door brace. And 4 wires, I'm just gonna torque and twist those down like I'm doing a stitch. And that should hold it in. And one other thing I did is I made sure that the wire pass through is at the rear. And I put it on the upper level, upside down on the upper level, and I saturated inside the groove with epoxy so it would be waterproof. I don't think water will ever get in there, but let's hope not. This spacer really isn't even load bearing. Maybe it strengthens the hatch a little bit, I don't know, but it doesn't, it just gives the fan something to screw into, and that'll be pulling these up into the hatch itself. And the bottom piece, that's only supporting the little trim ring. So I don't think putting the cellophane is absolutely necessary. It's going to reinforce the whole door opening. There's a wooden frame. The wood door rim goes around here. Okay. And I figured I had a double layer here, so I better put a double layer over here.
Is that in the manual too?
No, but people recommend reinforcing the door with fiberglass before you cut it out so it holds its shape better. So I figure it can't hurt it. Minimally adds weight.
And you only do it on the inside, right?
Yeah, on the inside. The outside's getting the 1 layer of fiberglass. These are the pieces that are going to go and cover up the hinge holes that are right here. These are all filled in. I have to sand them down still. This is the panel that basically goes in here. Covers up those spots. This is the base for the hinge. It's covered with fiberglass. I have to sand that down. Here's the hatch lid. You see it's pretty well glued in. I don't even know if it really needs filleting. The 2 door surrounds. That's the seam. Looks pretty well sealed. Might be a little bit of a gap filling in there, but that'll be put on with putty too, so I have to go in there and clean out the groove. Got the fiddle rail glued onto the shelf. That the plywood had this kind of white spot, but that's just the nature of it. The back hatch is like that too. The Okome plywood is a lot lighter on the back section than the front. But that's cool. It's going to give it a little bit difference from another trailer the same. These are going to get sanded flush. These I'm not going to do anything with. The hinge will go over here, and then once I get the hatch off, and actually the fiberglass is going to go over these holes when we fiberglass the roof. And on the back side, I'll fill it in. Once the hatch is cut free, these all just need to be sanded. Of course, a lot of the hints, they say cut to the inside of the line and trim it later because the hatch is really a close fit. Yep, so just needs to be sanded. These are those screws I put in, one on each side to hold in the upper part of that, the upper part of the door reinforcement. Of course, it's 24 hours later, so that's completely set. I might as well take these out. And then these are the stitches we put in to hold it on the bottom. Cut those loose. My handy dandy little nippers. Okay. if they're bonded in, that's okay. We'll just sand them flush. I don't know. I'll see in a little bit how they pull out. They'll probably need to be sanded though. Go around and get the other side. Oh, I peeled the tape off the seam there. Doesn't need to be on there anymore. I guess there was always a chance that screw would get glued in, but it didn't. Okay, I don't know if I'm gonna crawl in there. If I do, I'll make it a little short section. Okay, so I got the plates. I got my small chuck and a big chuck, 16th inch bit, and I'm chasing the threads, or the holes I should say, through the boards here. It's just filled with epoxy from putting on fiberglass on the other side. Some of them didn't fill all the way up, some of them did. This little, you can see, there you go, yeah, little pre-drills. Then when I go to, after I fiberglass these sides, I'll go back through and put some wood screws in there to mount it to the side of the teardrop where the hinges are, and it'll act as a reinforcement. It'll cover up the somewhat ugly square holes from the wooden hinge kit that originally came with it. Now the newer trailers come with these hinges, they don't come with the wooden ones anymore, so those holes aren't there. You don't have to worry about it. You just put the hinge directly on the side of the body. I could have cut little squares of plywood, same thickness or what have you, and run the grain in the right orientation to the side, and it would fill it in, but you'd still be able to see it if you were looking for it. But I didn't want to go through that hassle. The kit I bought came with these, so I might as well use them. At least on the sides. On the top, the hinge actually covers up the holes really well, so I'm not going to use the pad on top. That's it. Very simple. I already I drilled the stitch holes through on this too, so probably will stitch it to the roof while everything's setting. And that's it for this one. Okay, I've taken and drawn lines radiating downward on this end and upward on this end, and I'm going to cut a groove there. And I'm not sure which way I'm going to route the wires yet. If I'm going to route them up to the ceiling or down to the floor, but that'll facilitate that. I don't think the strength is needed. It's just like a trim part. So a little cut in that won't hurt anything. So I'll get to it. Okay, I got the other one grooved out, and I'm just going to take my file, my mill bastard file with the teeth on the edge, and just clean off the bottom of that. Cut down about 3 layers of the fiberglass with the saw. Seems to be, that'll be more than enough for even my 14 gauge wire, but probably really only need like 18 or 20 gauge wire to be okay with a small LED. Remember, these are cut on the side where the lip is, it's just going to the outside of the trailer. So this is going to fit to the inside of the wall of the trailer, so you won't see these grooves once it's glued in. It's just for the wires to run through. I suppose you could drill a hole through the side, accomplish the same task, but I didn't. I think I mentioned I went down about 3 layers of the fiberglass, or of the plywood, to get where I wanted it to go. The depth I wanted. Use a 1/4 inch wide chisel to do the same thing. Sandpaper on a stick. And there's one of the grooves. I'll clean that up a little bit, but that's basically all it needs for a couple of wires to run through. They're LED lights, and they don't take a lot of power, and thus the lights don't have to be, the wiring for the lights doesn't need to be that heavy gauge. Easy peasy. And if I don't like it later, there's a little gap on the end of the wood. I'll just fill that in with fillet, and nobody would know any different or wouldn't care anyway, but fill it in, just a little fillet if I don't use it, or if I decide it's ugly or whatever. But I think that'll work.